Chapter 1 of Book 7 of Les Misérables, Volume 4 by Victor Hugo. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Rachel Nelson Smith. Les Misérables, Volume 4 by Victor Hugo, translated by Isabel Florence Hapgood. Book 7, Slang. Chapter 1, Origin. Pigrita is a terrible word. It engenders a whole world, la pègre, for which read theft, and a hell, la pégrenne, for which read hunger. Thus, idleness is the mother. She has a son, theft, and a daughter, hunger. Where are we at this moment? In the land of slang. What is slang? It is at one and the same time a nation and a dialect. It is theft in its two kinds, people and language. When, 34 years ago, the narrator of this grave and sombre history introduced into a work written with the same aim as this a thief who talked argot, there arose amazement and clamor. What? How? Argot? Why, argot is horrible. It is the language of prisons, galleys, convicts, of everything that is most abominable in society, etc., etc. We have never understood this sort of objections. Since that time, two powerful romancers, one of whom is a profound observer of the human heart, the other an intrepid friend of the people, Balzac and Eugene Sue, having represented their ruffians as talking their natural language, as the author of The Last Day of a Condemned Man did in 1828. The same objections have been raised. People repeated, "What do authors mean by that revolting dialect? Slang is odious. Slang makes one shudder." Who denies that? Of course it does. When it is a question of probing a wound, a gulf, a society, since when has it been considered wrong to go too far, to go to the bottom? We have always thought that it was sometimes a courageous act, and, at least, a simple and useful deed, worthy of the sympathetic attention which duty accepted and fulfilled merits. Why should one not explore everything and study everything? Why should one halt on the way? The halt is a matter depending on the sounding line and not on the leadsman. Certainly, too, it is neither an attractive nor an easy task to undertake an investigation into the lowest depths of the social order, where terra firma comes to an end and where mud begins. To rummage in those vague, murky waves, to follow up, to seize and to fling, still quivering, upon the pavement that abject dialect which is dripping with filth when thus brought to the light, that pustulous vocabulary, each word of which seems an unclean ring from a monster of the mire and the shadows. Nothing is more lugubrious than the contemplation thus in its nudity, in the broad light of thought, of the horrible swarming of slang. It seems, in fact, to be a sort of horrible beast made for the night, which has just been torn from its cesspool. One thinks one beholds a frightful, living, and bristling thicket which quivers, rustles, wavers, returns to shadow, threatens, and glares. One word resembles a claw, another an extinguished and bleeding eye. Such and such a phrase seems to move like the claw of a crab. All this is alive with the hideous vitality of things which have been organized out of disorganization. Now, when has horror ever excluded study? Since when has malady banished medicine? Can one imagine a naturalist refusing to study the viper, the bat, the scorpion, the centipede, the tarantula, and one who would cast them back into their darkness, saying, "Oh, how ugly that is!" The thinker who should turn aside from slang would resemble a surgeon who would avert his face from an ulcer or a wart. He would be like a philologist refusing to examine a fact in language, a philosopher hesitating to scrutinize a fact in humanity. For it must be stated to those who are ignorant of the case, that argot is both a literary phenomenon and a social result. What is slang, properly speaking? It is the language of wretchedness. We may be stopped. The fact may be put to us in general terms, which is one way of attenuating it. We may be told that all trades, professions, it may be added, all the accidents of the social hierarchy and all forms of intelligence have their own slang. The merchant who says, Montpellier not active, Marseille fine quality. The broker on change who says, assets at end of current month. The gambler who says, tiers et tout, refait de pique. The sheriff of the Norman Isles who says, the holder in fee reverting to his landed estate cannot claim the fruits of that estate during the hereditary seizure of the real estate by the mortgagor. The playwright who says, the piece was hissed. The comedian who says, I've made a hit. The philosopher who says, phenomenal triplicity. The huntsman who says, voici aller, voici fouillon. The phrenologist who says, amativeness, combativeness, secretiveness. The infantry soldier who says, my shooting iron. The cavalryman who says, my turkey cock. The fencing master who says, tiers, carte, break. The printer who says, my shooting stick and galley. All printer, fencing master, cavalry, dragoon, infantry man, phrenologist, huntsman, philosopher, comedian, playwright, sheriff, gambler, stockbroker, and merchant speak slang. The painter who says, my grinder. The notary who says, my skip the gutter. The hairdresser who says, my mealy back. The cobbler who says, my cub, talks slang. Strictly speaking, if one absolutely insists on the point, all the different fashions of saying the right and the left, the sailor's port and starboard, the scene shifter's court side and garden side, the Beatles' gospel side and epistle slide, are slang. There is the slang of the affected lady as well as of the Precieuses. The Hotel Rambouillet nearly adjoins the Cour des Miracles. There is a slang of duchesses. Witness this phrase contained in a love letter from a very great lady and a very pretty woman of the Restoration. You will find in this gossip a multitude of reasons why I should libertize. Diplomatic ciphers are slang. The pontifical chancellery, by using 26 for Rome, Gerzichtendiesel for dispatch, and Abfuxtugurzu to XI for the Due de Modena, speaks slang. The physicians of the Middle Ages who, for carrot, radish, and turnip, said Opopinac perfrosinum reptitalmus dracotholicum angolorum postmagorum, talked slang. The sugar manufacturer who says loaf, clarified, lumps, bastard, common, burnt, this honest manufacturer talks slang. A certain school of criticism 20 years ago, which used to say half of